Hey guys, Jarek here, and welcome to my review of the WE Glock 26c Advance. It's important to mention that the WE Glock 26c and the WE Glock 26c Advance are two entirely different guns. The Advance model comes with a compensator, a longer inner barrel, a longer outer barrel, better sights, a bottom rail, a Glock 17 mag, and a plastic piece to slip over your magazines to make the gun a little bit more comfortable to hold. Essentially what you have is an externally upgraded Glock 26c. Understandably, this model costs a little bit more than your standard Glock 26c. What's interesting is that this weapon is not actually made by WE. It is made by another Taiwanese company by the name of HK3. This company should sound familiar because this company is the same company that made the quote-unquote WE PX4. This is actually good news because HK3 produces higher quality products than WE does. But if WE doesn't make this gun, why does it say WE on the frame? My guess is that HK3 partnered up with WE to import these Glocks into America. If you look at a regular HK3 Glock, it has true Glock trademarks on the gun. Something like that would definitely cause an issue if you tried to import it into America, and Glock would sue anyone involved. As for the externals on this gun, they're overall fairly good. The slide seems to be made of fairly thick aluminum, and the grip seems to be made of fairly thick ABS plastic. They look tough enough to last you quite a while. What actually really impressed me about this gun is the external finish. It's very clear that HK3 was copying the Generation 3 Glock line. You can tell by the design of the grip and the gray matte finish paint on the slide. The paint they used is of very good quality and won't simply scratch off, and looks very authentic to the real Generation 3 Glocks. If it wasn't for the WE trademarks, you could actually believe that this is a real Glock until you picked it up and racked the slide. It just has very good attention to detail. In my opinion, I actually kind of like the trademarks on the slide. I guess I could deal without the WE trademarks on the frame, but these trademarks are about as good as they're going to look without being authentic. And with how much the Glock company goes out of the way to sue people, there's only so much you can do. What I really don't understand is why doesn't Glock just do what Magpul has done? Now, I'm not a big fan of Magpul's products, but I will really respect their company for doing what they have done for the airsoft community. Instead of suing anyone that makes anything remotely Magpul related, they actually hire airsoft companies to make Magpul products, pay royalties to that company, and make money themselves while keeping public view high. This is obviously a smarter business decision than suing everyone involved. Back onto the gun. As I said before, this gun is essentially an externally upgraded Glock 26c. You can really see how small this gun is when I eject the magazine. To help assist you hold onto the gun, they included an extra plastic piece that slips over magazines. This will work with any Glock mag, including the 50 round Glock mags, and in my opinion, makes the gun look a lot better. Now, the Glock 26 variant is also full auto, so I would highly recommend picking up a few of these 50 round magazines, as you'll burn through this ammo very quick on full auto. This gun is a Tokyo Marui clone, so any Tokyo Marui designed Glock mags will work with this gun. This gun has a pretty stiff recoil spring and a somewhat heavy slide, giving you a nice audible clank noise when you let the slide snap forward. Even though this is the compact model with a compensator, the gun still does have a decent amount of smooth recoil. True to the real Glock, pulling on the side of the trigger will not fire the gun. It has a trigger styled safety, and you need to pull on the very middle of the trigger to actually shoot it. The sights on this weapon are the best sights I've seen on an airsoft gun for a very long time. The rear sights are true fiber optic sights, and the front and back sights are completely adjustable left and right. The only negative thing I can say about these sights is that the front sight has just a white dot put on the front of it. It's just a small sticker, and I guarantee you it's going to fall off. So you're going to have to be creative and use whiteout to make the front sight, or white paint, or whatever you need to do to make the front sight actually seeable. Other than that, no complaints at all, absolutely great sights. Since this is a Tokyo Marui clone, the safety is where the serial plate normally would be. However, since this gun comes with an attachable rail, the safety has been extended, otherwise you wouldn't be able to use it. And unless this gun is cocked, you cannot put the gun on safety. When you put the safety on, all it really does is lock the trigger. If you take it off, you can fire. If you want to restore the Glock 26c to its original state without all the external upgrades, simply unscrew a few screws on the bottom of the rail and the bottom of the compensator with an Allen wrench key, and you can take all the stuff off. When you take the compensator off of this gun, and yes, the compensator is made out of durable metal, you can see how long the barrel on this gun is. The inner barrel extends almost to the end of the outer barrel. In fact, this barrel is actually a little bit longer than a Glock 17 barrel. The inner barrel of a Glock 17 is 90mm. The inner barrel of a Glock 26c Advance is 95mm. This difference is only 1/5 of an inch, but my point here is that this is not the standard Glock 26c barrel. As I said before, this gun is Tokimori compatible, so if you wanted to replace your outer and inner barrel as well as get a regular Glock 26c mag, you could turn this gun back to a regular Glock 26c. I can't think of a situation where you'd ever actually have to do this, but it's nice to have the flexibility to if you really need to. One disadvantage to having all these external upgrades on your gun is that you need to take them off to disassemble your gun or adjust your hop-up unit. This can be kind of annoying and definitely is a little bit of a hindrance, but once you have your hop-up unit adjusted the way you want it to, this really doesn't matter that much, and it's definitely worth it to have all these external upgrades on your gun. Other than that, this gun disassembles just like your standard Glock. Pull down on 2 tabs on each side of the gun, and your slide comes right off. From here you can access your internals. From what I'm seeing, they definitely seem to be a little bit better than what you're paying for. Nothing absolutely groundbreaking or amazing, but they seem to be reliable enough. You might have to replace the piston, as it does seem like it might break after continuous full auto use. But if you need to replace any parts, since this is Tokimori compatible, it'll be incredibly easy, and you'll have an excuse to upgrade your gun. With the slide pulled off, you can also adjust your hop-up unit. This hop-up unit is a wheel-based hop-up unit that I found to be incredibly effective at making this gun accurate, which would make sense as it is a Tokimori clone. To put the gun back together, simply pull back down on the 2 tabs and slide the upper receiver back on the rails on the lower receiver. This gun is semi and fully automatic, and the selector switch works just like your standard Glock 18c, up for semi, down for full auto. This selector switch will start to scratch up the slide as you can see here. A big advantage of going with the Tokimori design instead of the KWA or KSC design is that the selector switch does not get loose over time, or at least nowhere near as quickly, and neither does the rear sight, which was always a big problem I had with my KWA Glocks. When I tested the feet per second of this gun with .2 gram BBs and propane, the first few shots seemed to be around 350 feet per second, and then it seemed to settle for an average of around 330 to 320 feet per second. Now I was testing this gun when it was around 70 degrees in the evening, so when it's a little bit hotter, say around 90 degrees, expect the average to stay around 340 to 350 feet per second. This velocity is actually perfect for your sidearm. It's not too weak to take into woodland, and it's not too strong to take into CQB. You wouldn't want it shooting any hotter or any weaker than this. When I tried to test the rate of fire of this weapon, my chrono simply would not cooperate with me, but I did seem to get a few readings around 1,100 rounds per minute, and that seems much more accurate than all the other readings I was getting. If you listen to this gun, it simply sounds nasty. It has a ridiculous rate of fire. To be clear, the rate of fire is around 1,100 rounds per minute. I'd be willing to bet it's actually higher at 1,200 rounds per minute, but the chrono is saying 1,100, so let's go with that. Since you're never going to be shooting at small 22 targets on the field, you'll be shooting at a full man-sized target, I'm going to consider anything within this red square a hit. When I took this gun back to 100 feet and shot at the target on semi-automatic, I found that hitting this target was incredibly easy, but when I switched the gun to full auto, my groupings just got terrible. If you're putting this gun on full auto, you're going full spray and pray mode. When I took this gun back to 150 feet, a strong breeze started to pick up that I couldn't really wait for it to end as it only got worse throughout the day. Even with this wind though, on semi-automatic I found this gun to be very consistent and not too hard to hit my targets. The wind did kind of mess up some of the shots, but for the most part, it's still a very accurate weapon even at 150 feet. However, just like before, once I put this gun to full auto, the accuracy went completely downhill. What does that mean for this pistol? Well, that means that I don't have enough space to show you how accurate this pistol is. What I can tell you is that this pistol on semi-automatic is accurate up to 150 feet plus. Surprisingly enough, coming from WE, that's above average when it comes to accuracy. And the fact that you can flip this thing to full auto means you also have a viable gun to use once someone gets up close to you. Final conclusion of this gun. If the WE name scared you away, you can relax. HK3 definitely did a very good job with their Glock line. Now when it comes to gas blowbacks, you can't completely negate the cooldown factor, but Tokimori's design does a very good job of pushing gas outwards away from the gun instead of freezing the core mechanics of the weapon. In this case, a lot of gas comes out of the back of the gun and onto your hands, so I would highly recommend wearing gloves when shooting this gun on full auto. You can see in a few of the shots, there is gas absolutely coating the back of my gloves. If you don't wear gloves, this gun might freeze or bite you, for lack of a better term. Still, that's a hell of a lot better than having your gun freeze, expel the gas, and suddenly stop working. which the KWA and KSC design seem to love to do on me. For that matter, the KSC and KWA design seems to be a lot more picky than the Tokimuri design, whereas the Tokimuri design simply just works. I did around 5 or 6 full auto mag dumps with this gun, and didn't have one freeze or lockdown. Even though I was using the 50 round mags, it still fired every single BB and logged the slide back on the last shot with plenty of gas to spare. If I had to choose one word to describe this gun, I would use the word versatility. You can take this gun in the woodland, put it on semi-automatic, and it would be a good secondary. You also have a very nice gun to fall back on when people get up close and you simply flip this thing to full auto. Now imagine this. You're at a CQB facility and you have around 5 or so 50 round magazines with this gun on full auto with that crazy high rate of fire. That would be your heyday and would be a perfect primary for CQB. There's really no situation where you can't use this gun. And once you take into consideration that this gun is a clone of an already established Tokimuri platform, there's an almost endless amount of possibilities for what you can do with your gun. The finish and authenticity of this gun is just an added bonus. So is this gun worth your money? It's worth way more than what you're paying for. And if you want a Glock, I would definitely recommend it. That about sums up my review of the WE HK3 Glock 26c Advance. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.
Explosion.
Wimbles, look up.
What?
How did you manage that?
I don't know. I can't revive him.
I can't. Oh shit, I'm down.
Hey guys, Jarek here, and
I want to be in the picture too.
Raptor and Komodo here too. We're just kind of screwing around downtown. I still like how the biggest tourist attraction in all of Portland is a donut shop. Show me the donuts you got. Don't throw them, show me them. This is the fattest maple bar.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that big.
I got this mainly to make Drake jealous. Bacon maple bar.
You eat half of that. I'll grab the other one later. Drop that. I like how you're holding it like, what do I do with this?
Things are shit. I love it.